right, everyone's jumping in here. I'll wait a couple of seconds here. Good morning, everyone. All right, well, good morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today to talk about why apply to Comcast SportsTech. We have Ashley Williams and Brennon D'Souza joining us as alumni to share about their experience and help answer any questions you might have as a prospective applicant or just someone interested in our program or someone who's already applied and just has additional questions. So first and foremost, firstly, this is an interactive seminar. So if you have questions along the way, please post them in the chat, and we will get to them towards the end. And so firstly, Comcast SportsTech, this is our 4th program that we're about to kick off, and it's a lot of fun. We have, you see my background here with the Premier League, they're our newest partner, but essentially what we're doing is we're looking for enterprise-ready companies that are solving interesting innovation problems for our partners. And the goal is to take companies that are ready to scale and connect them to the partners that you see up here for the purpose of getting pilots and commercial deals off the ground. So that's really what we focus on. Our focus is not on fundraising, it's not on other stuff. It's the primary thing is getting deals done. And that's what we find is unique and needed for a lot of you that we're speaking to. So we get to solve a unique niche in this in the world here. In today's program, part of why we're doing this is we have hundreds of applications that are started but not complete. And I'm sure there are reasons for that. There are questions for that. This is our most competitive program to date. And we already have more applicants at the end so far with a month out before applications close than we have had in the past. So that's keeping me busy. So right after this, I'll be going back to reviewing your applications. So with that, I want to kick it off. A reminder to please post your questions in the chat, and we have moderators that will be bringing them up so we can start answering your questions. But to kick it off, firstly, I want to introduce Ashley Williams, and would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Jose. It's so great to see you again and great to be here. Thanks for having me. I am the founder and CEO of RIZZARR. We're a content marketplace where we connect content creators with brands, vet them, and help brands use their content, user-generated content across their websites, their social media, or their apps. Really focusing on producing purpose-driven kinds of content. Prior to this, I was a journalist for a number of years at NBC News, WBAL Radio, and USA Today.
I love it. And which cohort were you a part of?
Yeah, I was a part of the most recent one. And it's been so much fun. And we're based in Michigan, I should say, too, Detroit.
I said that was a bit of a trick question. She's still in our program right now. And Brennon D'Souza.
Yeah. Hi, Jose. Happy to be here. And yes, we were part of the first cohort, the inaugural one, and very, very happy and blessed to have been part of it. But I'm the founder and CEO of DIBZ. DIBZ is a seat upgrade service that's all done through text messaging. So when you have a bad seat at your sporting event or any event or a concert, you can simply text the number to get a better seat. And so we work with the teams, the leagues, and the ticketing operators to make that happen. And we've been at it 2 years now, and just keep chugging along. But we're very happy to be part of this and kind of like pay it forward and have more people, get into the system here.
Absolutely, and I love having alumni sharing their testimonials because they're the least biased and are able to share about their experience. So I guess a kickoff question for you, Ashley. Tell me about what drew you to the Comcast SportsTech program in the beginning, and what was it solving for your company?
Yeah, well, I have to say it was really exciting having worked for NBC News and the affiliation with Comcast NBC. Just noting that, and the brand in and of itself is so credible and such a great brand to want to be a part of. But primarily, I remember it was back around this time last year where we were a part of DIBZ, which is a pre-accelerator a number of years ago. And they have like a list that they send out to different investors or programs, and we were on a list that they had sent out, and then you saw that list and you reached out to me, and it was like normally when they have like their investor one-on-ones, they have like these different virtual events, and I was curious because I was really interested at some point in getting us on the path of getting into the sports industry. And so I was really interested to hear what the program entailed and what it was about. And the more I learned, and I always wanted to, after talking with you, I loved speaking with you. I loved your personality, and I loved what you were describing about the program, the whole opportunities, the offerings, and just how it really took a company to a whole other level in their trajectory. And I was like, you know what, just let's apply. Let's just see what happens. And as we went through the application process and just getting closer and closer to the final round, and the more I was learning and being able to ask questions about it and the program, I was just like, this is such a life-changing opportunity. I know I keep saying those exact words together, but it's so true. And I was just so excited to hopefully get into the program. And it has definitely really exceeded our expectations in more ways than I could have ever have imagined. And just, I even hate to think what I would have, where we would have been had we not applied to the program last year.
I love your optimism. I love, your perspective that makes you want to keep going. So I love what you do, and just I love talking to entrepreneurs and learning about, all of you are putting your lives on the line essentially, or you're by pursuing your these passions, right? You're sacrificing time with your careers, family, etc., in order to build these things. So it's great to be able to be along the journey with you. It's hard. So I'm glad to be with you. Brennon, tell me a bit about some of the challenges you experienced before joining Comcast SportsTech. What were some of the things your business was facing?
Yeah, sure. So we do seat upgrades, and that's very connected to ticketing. And if you guys know ticketing and how convoluted that whole world is, it's like a who's who kind of that's the world we live in that ecosystem. It's a who's who. And I think when we started to go out to the market with our idea, a lot of it was relationship driven. And so we kept hitting roadblocks with who are the right people, who are the decision makers. And I guess that was the real challenge. How do you actually meet those decision makers or even get an introduction? And I think, and then that's why in our own, I'd say for our story, that's where the accelerator came in. I mean, network, resources, connections. I mean, you can see the list right here. It's impressive. And I think upon getting into the accelerators, when the challenge was met with help. And it's like the people who've been there, who've done that, the advisors, the direct connections. I mean, Jose, coming out of the accelerator, we launched with the Atlanta Braves. I mean, that's phenomenal. Where does that happen, right? And so, and that was all courtesy of the ecosystem that was available to us. And of course, you make your case. It's not things handed to you, but you make your case, and there's credibility there. And I think once we were on the other side of that, because we really wanted to have our concept in a professional sports team or that market, is when things started to move. So yeah, as far as challenges, the unknowns to actually having a handle on how to pursue your path, I think that was the biggest win for us.
Excellent. And Ashley, for kind of the follow-on question to that too is, so how has Comcast SportsTech been impactful for you so far?
Yeah, I want to say like, oh, sorry. I want to say the question is, how has it not? Going into that, just to being frank, like, I think really, we were at a point where we were growing, but it's just unimaginable to realize how much we've grown and how much there is so much to grow into with the amount of opportunities and the amount of partners that are within the program, affiliated with the program, to be able to work with in so many different capacities. And not only that, I just really have been so thankful for the opportunities of the support, like even with the advisors that we've been able to connect with to now be a part of the company, the amount of different, even individuals who are now joining our company. There's just been such a, it's almost like a new beginning with the company in some sense, and a new sense of like even understanding how as we're rebuilding our product, how it can serve the sports industry in various capacities, like understanding different pain points that the partners have, understanding how we can help facilitate and drive change and drive revenue, drive fan engagement to help them. So it's just been so many wonderful things that have been happening. So
love it. And tell me a bit about the experience also with fellow, part of the experience is not just what you're getting from the partners, although that's really a big part, but you're also surrounded by some amazing entrepreneurs. Are there any kind of stories or any relationships you built that have led to potential business or success? That's a question to either of you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure, I'll jump in. So I think that's the beauty of being in a cohort. Your business, we're all in this, have the same challenges, but in the end of the day, you're all connected. And I think those battle stories is what you need to tap into with your other cohort members. And I think with us, we found synergies with a few of them. I mean, we're ticketing, and there was, let's say, Let's Chat, who had a translation service that we could use with our text messaging. There was, there's a whole bunch of them. But I would say that when you come to the table, learn about who's doing what. How can this benefit your system? Because they're in the same boat. They want your help as much as you need theirs, and it's about just connecting those dots and then moving forward. Yeah, a lot of resources that you can tap into.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, and I hope I'm not coming across as being like I am definitely a bubbly person and like excited, but I mean I'm tremendously excited about this program because of the fact that it's one thing to read about what the program offers to the audience, like, and to see like all the different things that it's saying that it does, but it's quite another to actually, for a program to live up to its expectations and that integrity that it has. And I feel like that is completely the entire essence of the program in and of itself, and the founders that you all choose. Well, first of all, yes, all the founders in the cohort have been super fun to be around. Like at our different events, we all look forward to seeing each other when we've come together to reconnect or to have another part of the program. And then even outside of that, finding ways that we can collaborate, like on our different pilots that we might have with partners or different projects. So we've been able to identify a number of different companies that we'll be partnering with or in process of partnering with right now. And then I guess the cherry on top to it all, though, is that I feel like I've found like a whole other new best friend that I've connected with, like Shannon, who is part of Fan Saves. Like we literally talk like every day, and even though she's in Canada, we like are always like messaging or like phoning, talking, whatever else. And it's just so nice to have that friendship, to be able to share like our journey, like different things that we're going through throughout the day, and for someone else to be able to understand that, particularly in this program, because there is a lot going on, but in a good way. But it's just nice to have that reassurance that someone, that you can talk to, and like that gets what you're going through, and is, just going through the normal day-to-day, challenges, fun times, all the different things in between of being an entrepreneur. And so I have been so grateful just to have had that friendship come out of this. Like it's just been so great. Yeah,
that's awesome. And yeah, it's been really cool seeing the support between alumni that continues to grow. Both it's 30 companies that have gone through our program, and it's part of the larger Boomtown ecosystem as well, that we have over 200 founders that are part of the family. So it's a lot of fun, and we're all here to see each other grow and succeed. Brennon, some of those challenges you mentioned, tell me a bit about some of the resources you received or that you gained during the program, and some of the ways some of those challenges were addressed, on the connection side or any of that.
Yeah. So connections, let's talk about that. I think what it comes down to is there's what you think when you enter a program like this, and then the reality of what you learn when you're actually on the inside. And I think these mentors, this network, the introductions, like these are people actually doing what you want to do. And so they give you the advice on how, it works in their mind. And usually, you can kind of like, you make your own decisions, but you can connect the threads on, what's my best chance of success here. And I think prior to even like the accelerator, you don't have these answers, and there's nobody that's doing it that could, you know, give you an opinion that has been there, done that, at least not in my world. So I think that's really what the network does for you. It helps you understand your product better. And a big part of this whole world is, you know, help everybody around you connect the dots about your company. It's to your advantage to tell them everything about what you do, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to achieve. And by them knowing that, then they start to be like, oh, well, I know somebody who could maybe answer that question, or I know a CTO of this team, run it by them. And I think that's the true benefit of a program like this. It's like a tool that if you know how to use this tool well, it'll really benefit your business. And I like to say that it's benefit ours, because Jose knows I harass everybody at Comcast, and I'm like, hey, look, do you know anybody here? And you'd be surprised how large this network is and how many people they can connect you to. And so take advantage of that. And that to me is the big win.
I love that. Ashley, what are some of the highlights so far with the program today? Some of the impactful mentors or opportunities you've had? And I know that some of it is sensitive, so you don't need to name specific names, but you know, you could talk broadly about it if you'd like.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, and I was seeing some questions, like I'll go back to like even relating to when we first started, like the first week. It was nice because part of the program, at least for this year, was that we came together like for a week in Orlando, and it allowed us to really meet different people within Comcast, all like different divisions of like the different partners, understanding what they're concerned about, things that are going well, things that they're looking to in the future, and beginning to build those relationships with them. And then also being paired with our like initial partner that we would be working with on an initial pilot, which is NBC Sports for us, which I'll say. And that's been really helpful because that could also turn into a longer opportunity, and the partner is really, really helpful to you in understanding the insides and outs of that particular division, and also how to manifest that larger opportunity in the future. What are the things that to note as you're moving forward, the expectations, all those different criteria things. And also they're helpful for facilitating other conversations. So and they're with you throughout the entire program. And even still now, I'm still meeting with my partner. I actually need to email her to follow up when I email. So it's been really fun to be able to get to know her and to build that relationship with her as well. And outside of that, we're also paired with different advisors who are essentially working with us throughout the program and even afterwards, like on different areas of our company. So we've had someone in tech, someone to help us with like business development, someone with research, someone with investor items. And I have been meeting with these individuals regularly, like almost every week, every other week. And it has been such a gem, and they're all just so kind-hearted. They're so, they have such a strong belief in you and seeing the path forward, and also helping with you understanding different ways of saying, you know, and they're also really inclined to want you to stick to your intuition and what your gut is telling you to do. And so it's a nice balance of individuals. And then on top of that, anything that you need outside of the individuals that Comcast has already connected you to, they're willing to help with. Like we wanted to hire someone on like to be our fractional CFO or other different items. And they've been super helpful to connect us with different individuals in other capacities or financial modeling, anything that you would need, just let them know. And they're all so willing to help. They're always willing to take time out to meet with you, like just one-on-one throughout the program. And even after the program, I still meet with one of the leaders of the program, like every other week, every few weeks. And then on top of that, we as a cohort meet regularly. At least it is for the time frame for a couple of months after the program ends. And I'm sure we'll still be, even probably us individually, just wanting to meet with each other regularly to see how we're doing and to see what's going on and seeing how we can help each other or different things that we can learn from each other. But this allows us then to also see other opportunities, other things that we should be thinking about. And then they're all always willing as well to meet outside of even the meetings that we have. Like I've followed up with some of them on different opportunities that they're pursuing or other things to find out more around like things that we can do. Everyone is like, it's just a world of everybody being super helpful. Like, so everything that you wanted like for Christmas wrapped up in a gift and a bow just for you. And I think the best part though is the opportunities to learn about the partner. So during the week when we were in Orlando, they actually took us to different events affiliated with the different partners. Like we went to a PGA Tour event, we went to a WWE event, and even when we were in Atlanta, went to like the Braves game, all these different, a NASCAR, which was like so much fun. So all of them are really fun, but in different ways. It's just a great experience. So you can really understand the full essence of that sport, and that you can like, you know, really be grounded and integrated into it, and really understanding of what they're talking about. And they'll and there's a partner too that will take you through the different facilities of the different divisions as well. Like when we were at NASCAR, we went through and learned more about their facility, and also just like the whole event space. So it was really nice to be able to do. So I would say, for those of you who are seeking to understand more about the program, just know there is definitely like a cohesive plan in order to make sure that people are really integrated into knowing what's expected of them. And also during the week, they help you, the leaders of Boomtown also go through different presentations on things that you should know when preparing to get that pilot or the commercial deal, how you should be acting in these conversations, how to navigate the conversations, how to follow up. They're even willing to meet with you with the partner to close the deal. They're willing to meet with you in your investor meetings to get you to get your round closed. So and one of the things that I love the most too out of that, speaking of which, is the fact that they are not just in it for the program, they're in it with you for the long haul. Like this is truly like a great marriage. Not that I've ever married, but it's in that way to me. And so when you're going through these opportunities of trying to raise your investor round, they're willing to contact or help you get connected to different investors who would be interested in your company, or helping you get ready with your pitch deck or all of your data room. So anything that you need, they want to make sure you are successful in. It is not just the thing of being in the program, checking a box. We got a company in the program. I feel like I'm going on a tangent with this, but essentially it's just like the perfect opportunity for those of you who really are serious about taking your company to the next level, want to take your company to the next level. This is the program that you definitely need to be a part of. It is not just another accelerator. It is not another program. This is really to take your company to the next level in a way that you could have never imagined.
Yeah, and I'll just add one thing to that. Everything you said, Ashley, is completely true, beyond true. And I think what's really interesting, the access you get. You don't get access like this in any other program, okay? And the reason I say this is because you see all the partners here, right? And the thing is, when you go through this process, you have an idea of how you will work with, let's say, one of the partners. But when you actually meet the partner, they have their own set of pain points that they're trying to address and figure out how do we solve certain problems. And then that's how you kind of like adapt what you have to hopefully meet their needs. And then all of a sudden it's like maybe a long shot is like low-hanging fruit now, right? And I think that's the kind of like that access is so crucial to kind of like understand, how is my product or service going to be working with one of these partners? And that's what leads you to the pilot and the trials, and then hopefully the commercial deal. But I think that's what happened with us, and I just want to know that it actually is possible, but you get a level of access that you can't really get anywhere else.
And access to different, there was a question about multiple different partners. Yes, it's like you have one partner at the very beginning so that you're not, because they want you to make sure that you're not overwhelmed by everything, that you understand the process, like that you build that camaraderie with your initial partner and get that pilot going. But then after that, once the program comes to an end, you meet all of the partners and you have all these opportunities that you can pursue, and you schedule meetings with them and you follow up, and then moving forward from there. But it's not like you have to work with one designated one for the time being when you're in the program, that 6 weeks. Yes, just to make sure you're not overwhelmed, but towards the end, it's to make it so that you have access to all of them and can work with all of them in various capacities.
Man, this is, I love that. Love hearing that. I want to join this program. One of the things you talk about is just that continued support, and that's true. And one of the things is there is an equity component for the program to join, and some founders are, they think about whether to give up equity or not, and but one of the benefits of that equity giving up is you have, not only is it a great community, but there's a vested interest from Comcast and the partners to continue to support you, because they don't get anything back unless you're successful as a business. So I'm actually curious, that is often a question. How did you think about the equity component of the program, and not specific numbers, but rather like how's that thought process been, and how do you compare what you gave up to the ROI on that?
I can talk to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll go about since I was shocked.
Okay, cool. I think the way I thought about this was like, let's be honest. Okay, if you don't have, okay, so let's just put it this way. I was not in the sports world prior to being part of this program. Okay, so if you were not in the sports world, how do you get into it? And how do you get into it where you're talking to the right person? So for me, me personally, and DIBZ, I guess, the value was you're being put directly in front of a potential client that you believe your service could work with. And for them, vice versa. Do they believe your service could work in their environment and their ecosystem? And so for me, the ability to pilot is the value that I need to validate whether this is a good idea and worth pursuing. And now you get the partner to directly tell you yes or no. And like I know people come into this world at different stages. Some are early, some are late. I know there's obviously what you guys are looking for right now is later stage companies. Or I think what it comes down to is this: whatever you've been doing in the past, you are now connected with these brands, and these brands are validation for you to go get that raise, that next round of funding, or go get that board member that's going to take you to the next level, or go hire that teammate or key staff member that's going to like take you to the next level. And I think all those things is what we wanted. We wanted the credibility and the yes from for instance, very soon after we joined, we had the ability to, have a Nexus partnership with Ticketmaster. We did an RDP with tickets.com. I mean, this would not happen without the accelerator. I'll tell you that right now. Okay. Me knocking on the door of Ticketmaster would not happen. And they give you credibility. So for me, the value of what we were getting for what we gave up was tremendous.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It would how, and not only with that too, is like the partners want to find ways to work with the companies. It's like they are also a part of that process when you're going through interview process. They're trying to find the companies that they actually really want to work with so that it is worthwhile for them too. It's a mutually beneficial partnership. So in that way, when you think about all of these opportunities with these partners, the fact that you have Comcast backing you and how the credibility of that alone and how that's going to skyrocket you into such another sphere of opportunity, like why wouldn't you? So to me, when it came to the equity part, I was like, I am totally okay with that, because of the fact that I rather have, with like Mark Cuban says, like a watermelon. I don't want the whole watermelon. I rather have like some of the grape, or, not to say in the scheme of things of equity things, but when you think about like what you are giving up for what you're getting, it is so much more worthwhile. So don't think about the equity part of it all, the smaller equity part of it all, and the longer term. If you think about where you really want your company to be, where you really want it to go, why wouldn't you? It's such an easier path to getting there, so much faster. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
And just one other point I can add is that don't forget, this is a two-way street. Okay, there's the startup, and then there's the receptor who's going to take your technology and actually trial it, do a pilot or whatnot. And that's not every team out there. That's not every sports business out there. They're not in the business of that. But there are certains that are certain, obviously like these partners, but they're partners that say, yes, I'm willing to take the risk because we are actively looking for new technologies that'll benefit our cause. And that's what you get as well. You kind of like almost like screen it out, and you go straight to the people that are willing to at least try. And that's like a huge benefit.
Fantastic. Thank you for answering that. We have a whole bunch of questions. Keep them coming. We'll be answering them very shortly. Hopefully some of them are getting answered as we go through as well. I'm curious, what does life look like for you, Brennon, 2 years after the program?
Yeah. So it's in startup world, there's twists and turns every day. I mean, everybody knows that. If it's not fundraising, it's security for a team, or compliance, or a new introduction, or it's competition, or it's always something. But I will say that you move obviously we're moving in the right direction. We've had some amazing things. I mean, we've been to so many places over this past year, overseas, and even in the United States, everywhere in Canada. And what I will say is like, I want to focus on like a couple of cool things that have happened. Okay, and actually, Jose, this is courtesy of you, with let's say Pittsburgh Airport and that whole aviation thing. Opportunity comes in many ways, and I think you have to understand that it's not always just the client that you think's in front of you, but there are other opportunities. One opportunity that came our way, Jose actually just sent an email out to us, and he's like, "Hey, Brennon, you know, there's this other opportunity, and it's with in the aviation sector, but you know, you should see if this is something for you." And once again, it's other industries that are kind of like pulling technologies in to make their industry successful. Anyways, long story short is that yes, we do seat upgrades. Therefore, technically, you could do seat upgrades on you know, on airlines. You know, that was one of the things we thought of from the very beginning. And anyways, long story short, the airport, the Pittsburgh International Airport, we ended up launching with them our trials, and we're right now in trials with them. And we provided an opportunity for them to address some of the pain points through text messaging and the way we do things. And like that came out of nowhere. And so I just want to say that, you know, a big part of what we do, even 2 years on, is adapting and fine tuning, and you know, always you know, making sure the customers are happy, and you know, hopefully that will get to your, you know, your big commercial deal. But yeah, 2 years on, very happy, Jose, to be talking to sports, talking to aviation. We're doing stuff with the hotels right now because they're all kind of like interconnected. And just happy to keep on exploring.
I love that. So we have a lot of questions that I realize we will probably not get to them if I don't start answering them. So I'll start answering, and Brennan, actually, please jump in as well. But you know, there's a lot of questions around the application process. So basically, the process is we have applications open right now, and we will paste a link to the actual application. And when you fill that out, it's probably a 15-minute or so application. It's actually shortened significantly since even both of you applied in the past. And we take that and combine that with what we're learning that our partners are looking for as far as their innovation priorities. Those innovation priorities are changing every 6 to 9 months or so. So there was a question around what they're looking for, and it's all over the place. But our verticals include, for example, media and entertainment. I think Amir will also paste what our verticals are: media and entertainment, fantasy sports and betting, esports, fan player engagement, venue innovation, and more. But so there's a lot of solutions. There's a lot of opportunities around that area. And basically, we're looking for companies that are not just solving a sports tech problem, like Brennan said, but that are solving interesting problems that can be applied to the sports tech ecosystem. And for example, in the ticketing space, right? So after you fill out the application, we identify whether the stage of your company is right, whether the founding team is the right people to kind of pursue this idea, and whether there's a general interest from our partners. But the biggest thing about the process is, because our primary goal is how many pilots and commercial deals get off the ground between our startups and the partners, we want to get buy-in from the partners. So as soon as we can, we take the top 50 companies and we put them in front of the partners, and they review the companies and they tell us who they want to speak to. From that, we take the top 25 companies and you sit and have interviews directly with the executives at the different groups here that stated that they're interested in working with you. And in addition, other partners that we think would be interested once they get a chance to speak to you, because perhaps on paper it didn't quite make sense for them. So there's a lot of kind of hand-holding that we have to do on both sides along the way. From that, you have a conversation with them around what potential deals could look like, and what potential relationships could look like. And before we extend an invitation, you also know the partners that are interested in working with you. So by the time you get an invitation and when you start discussing equity, we want to be as transparent as possible. We want you to know which partners are directly interested in you. They're saying, we want this right now. Which partners say, okay, we think we're going to be interested in this, and which partners we think in the long term are going to be interested in you long term. So there was also a question around how many partners you work with and such. We don't take a company unless there's at least 2, maybe 3 partners that are very interested in working with you. And that's for many reasons, but we want you to get as much as possible from that. And partially is we only accept 10 companies, and so we want to maximize the opportunity for each of those companies to get as much as possible from the program. If you guys have any quick comments on that experience, perhaps on the partner side.
Yeah, I can talk to it a little bit. I think that was the key, getting buy-in from the partners. It's like a pat on the back saying, oh, this is something we could use, and then having the ability to talk with them and do a deep dive on, what's their pain points and how you can come into their world and try something. That is what led us to our first pilots, just understanding what the issue was and learning how to work within that system. So it benefited us. So I think it's such a great opportunity to have the partners right there, willing and able and ready to go.
Yeah, fantastic. So in addition on the process side, so companies that apply typically, there's no set fast rule as to like stage, amount raised, etc. But what we're looking for are companies that, if NBC Sports, for example, says we want to do a deal with you right now, that within a couple of days you can spin up, perhaps a custom environment or something can get going with them where you can get a pilot off the ground very quickly. It's not that you say, okay, I need 2 months to continue to develop it, and I need to close the financing round in order to fulfill that pilot opportunity, right? Because that would be a loss for you. You're not getting any business. That would be a loss for our partners because they want innovation and they could be working with somebody else along during that time instead. So we usually tell a company that is in kind of that stage to say, okay, let's apply next year. There's, we do this once a year. So, and then similarly on that, even more ideal is sometimes we have companies that say, NBC Sports says we want to pilot, and they say, yes, we can do it. But then Sky Sports or PGA Tour says, can we do a deal with you as well? Because we love that idea. And you say, whoa, I can't handle both. That's too much for me. So that happens. That's happened before more often. And so we're starting to identify what the ideal company is for our program. And again, we're finding that the ideal company is one that can handle multiple deals at the same time at large scale. So that often does mean companies that are closer to Series A and even Series A plus, the average companies we're speaking to are around that stage. But it's not a requirement. It's not a hard and fast rule. We do take it case for case, but we want a strong founding team that understands the industry that you're going after, and that can play the game at this high level. And we want a product that is fully baked and has proof that it can both work with enterprises, or if it's consumer facing, that you have proof that this is something that people are very engaged with, so that if there's an enterprise deal, it's not a guessing game for whether or not it's going to add value to our partners. It's going to be like, okay, this is what we've done in this industry, we can do it for you. So that's kind of the high level, summary of that. And that's kind of what we mean by enterprise ready. So if you have an MVP or a beta, it kind of depends. How robust is that? How quickly are you going to be fully baked? It's to your benefit to have a product that is ready to scale. Otherwise, otherwise you will not get as much. We're finding the more mature companies, even though they're valued higher, and the equity they give up might feel a bit more painful sometimes, they're actually getting the most out of their investment, out of the equity they're giving up, because they're able to handle 5 or 6 deals at once rather than 1 or so. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, so on those comments, and I'll keep answering your questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because even for us too, within it, so right after we had the meeting with the partners, there were a number of opportunities that we've identified and like closing with like soon, that are happening, and also still working on our pilot and our initial into a commercial deal with the initial partner. And so I think like, as long as you can be able to work on because I feel like our products are constantly being reiterated and updated and changed in different ways, but to scale it though, and to be able to understand what the partners' needs are, to showcase that to them is like the really defining thing, and to be able to help them with what it is that their needs are. If you can do that with your product, I would say definitely apply, and know that you really want to make sure you're feeling capable and also strong in terms of working with multiple ones of them at the same time, and even gradually bringing on other ones to do that, and having that team in place to be able to do that. And again, Comcast is helpful with identifying other people to add to the team, but at least with your core team, really having that there. Because I feel like for us, like having that core team has been really helpful for me with this whole process of understanding like this expansion really, and feeling okay, because it's definitely going to be a rocket ship going off. Yeah.
Excellent. So I think I've answered most of the questions around the program side. If I didn't, around the application, the process, please let me know. And feel free to just re-ask it. But then on the program side, so there was questions around whether this is just a solution for brands, clubs, et cetera. As I mentioned, we're looking for solutions that can be in any industry, but that can apply to our partners. So sometimes it's everything from, an athlete performance technology. That's kind of what people first think of often when you think sports tech, but it can be also on the venue innovation side, for example, with DIBZ upgrading your seat when you're sitting somewhere, or a new way of increasing revenue or selling merchandise right through for one of our partners. There were a number of questions around solopreneurs or whether you're still in operation or how long you've been in operation. I think I answered that in that it's not so much about the technicalities of who your team is or isn't, it's about the robustness of the stage of your business. Are you able to scale quickly? And so that's kind of for you to answer. And if and for you to make the case based on who you have. We take 10 companies per program. I do always try to get more because I love the companies that apply, and we try to make that argument. But our program team is very adamant that we stick to 10 because we really focus on quality, and we don't want that quality to be affected. So and then there were some questions on some of the structures with the partners. And perhaps Ashley or Brennan, you can also talk to this, but there isn't, the investor is the investment part, like the actual equity part is with Comcast, and the deals you do are individual business deals with each partner, right? So they're not you're not doing equity again with each partner. I mean, unless there's some unique partnership that pops up, it's usually deals that you work with that are some are paid, some are unpaid, some are depending on the scope of the deals and if they're pilots or commercial deals, et cetera. Either you can jump into some of that experience.
I can talk a little bit about it. I mean, obviously the end goal is to get your commercial deal, right? I mean, that's what you want. We all want to be a vendor. And, but I think it's, you have to understand the path to becoming a vendor, especially if you haven't done this before. You're in a very unique situation where, you're like Jose said, be at a stage where you could be ready to go. Because if you have something that's appealing to one of the partners, they'd be like, all right, we have an upcoming game. Can you be ready in 3 weeks? I mean, can you answer that truthfully, right? And even when we did the Atlanta Braves trials, that was one of the first trials we had. We were waiting for that. We knew that we had something to prove. The things were like, is this a product solution fit? Is the technology going to work? I mean, we did 2,000 seat venues. Here, all of a sudden, we have a 45,000 seat venue. Can we handle that? And so this is also an opportunity for the partner to learn about you, right? So they're testing you like you're testing them, and I think you have to keep in mind that in the end of the day, they like working with you. It's going to happen faster, a lot faster. So these pilots, these trials are like so important, and put the emphasis on that, because in the end of the day, you have this short amount of time to gain all that knowledge, but also prove, so that post accelerator, you're flying, And I just think it's like use your time wisely, and just keep on, don't say no to anything. Just go for it all, and you'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you're ready.
I love it. There was a question around, can you share a few practical insights as to what founders can expect in terms of collaboration, workshops, mentoring, et cetera? Ashley, since you're closest to it, and you already touched a little bit on it, but anything else you can share?
Yeah, I just think that there definitely is, even if some founders at the beginning may have felt like it was like hand holding, but I feel like in the aftermath of everything, well, I mean, if founders did feel it, I'm not sure if they did, but I found that it was really beneficial, the workshops that we had that were really walking through the process of like sales, like even if it seemed, to some maybe like basic things, there are so many things that you need to also just refine as a founder. And so it's really helpful for the groups, for our cohort anyway, when we were having those sessions with the different leaders of Boomtown to go over different parts of like our sales process, or like what we're thinking about our product, how we can help the partners, like really like having a deep dive into our product and the trajectory of our product and how we really think that it could help. And based off of the experiences that we were having from going to the various events, being able to really take a step back and thinking about, like, in the longer term, how could we really align with the partnership with a particular partner, and how can we make that effective based off of what we were seeing or what we were experiencing, and how our product could be shaped, or like what we do right now in general. So that was really helpful. And I also think just the various workshops that we have right now, even virtually, like we have like someone that two individuals who help us with speaking. We're preparing right now for a conference in September where we're going to be able to showcase our product to many more potential sports partners, which is going to be even more opportunities coming. And so they're preparing us for that. There's also other workshops that we have where we learn about like agencies, like, and how agencies work, or learning about more of the investor route and fundraising. So anything that we are looking to learn about, the leaders of the program really want to bring individuals in who can help us with that. And so and so many of us have been so grateful for that knowledge, and to be able to have that interaction, and then to be able to follow up with the individuals that they bring in to continue getting the information or resources that we need.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ashley. I think one of the things you've touched on is also goes around the structure of the program. So we're always iterating, we're always changing, we're always innovating. And one of the things we've changed is our program now is a number of things. One, it's fully remote we call it hybrid because there's 3 in-person events. It's remote. So a lot of the stuff is happening virtually, but there are 3 in-person events where you come in and you're meeting with your executives and the executives at other groups, other partner groups that you haven't been working with, in order to create more deals and deal opportunities. So that's happening. The other part is it used to be 3 months, and we identified that the biggest thing holding back deals from getting done is simply time. Things take time to negotiate, to pencil legally, to go through compliance. These are big organizations that you're working with. So as a result, we identified that we were thinking, how can we increase the length of the program without it becoming a burden for you, or without it being, unwieldy? And so what we did was we actually took the same 3-month program and extended it over 6 months. And so there are times when there's a week break, or whether there's nothing specifically going on, but what you're doing in the background is kind of moving those deals forward. And so that's really important, because that's, at the end of the day, we want those deals getting done. So there's that part of it. And actually, Ashley or Brennon, either one, tell us a bit about those in-person events. Tell us about those experiences, because those are pretty unique. I haven't been able to actually attend one myself, but I keep hearing how fun they are.
I can talk a little bit about it. So over the past 3 years, oh my God, I feel like I've been to so many. But I think what a great opportunity to be at one of those events, getting the inside scoop. You're not a spectator, you are on the inside. And I think what's cool about that is you see it in a different light. What you're trying to do, you're seeing it. You're the smells, the sights, the sounds, accompanied by the head of NASCAR doing a keynote in front of you with like 20 people telling you firsthand about his biggest pain points that he has this week. And you don't get that inside scoop anywhere else. And these kinds of events, to be honest, I never went to a NASCAR event before I was invited to one by Comcast. And I think it starts to open up your mind. You start to see the problems firsthand, or why your product or service could be applicable or not applicable. And I just think that it's such a great insight into this is your client, so learn about them. And I don't think where else would you get that sort of like inside scoop? I can't imagine. Yeah.
Ashley, do you want to talk about your most recent events, perhaps?
Yeah, I definitely would say, even with NASCAR too, same here. Like that was like my first time going to an event, or WWE or the PGA Tour. I mean, it was there like, and even to the Braves game, or like to, gosh, there's like all of them in different capacities were so helpful for just understanding how the brand is thinking about things in a different way. And then also because there are opportunities to go behind the scenes. So even before the events, we were normally there to like get an understanding of the operations, or how they were setting up, what was going on, and then experiencing it firsthand. And then still continuing to have the conversations with the partners affiliated with that brand, or even, so it was just so many, it was very fun, but it was just a full angle of understanding holistically how their brand operates, what their concerns are about, how the fans are engaging, how they're preparing, how they're doing after thinking, like all these, every single component that you could want to learn, you had access to.
Yeah, one of the really fun things about those in-person events too is one thing we've learned is really works the social proof side. So you walk in and each company has like their like concierge partner that, there's multiple partners that you're working with, but there's like the one that says like, I want to like also mentor you, and you walk hand in hand with you, and they stand up and they tell the other partners, sometimes without you in the room, about how you're working with RIZZARR or with DIBZ or whoever. And what we find is after every time one of those partners talks, you usually have 4 or 5 other partners that make notes telling us like, okay, we have that same use case, we want to talk to them. Mm-hmm. And so even though they've seen you, they've read about you, but until they hear it from someone else, it doesn't, like they didn't really realize how specifically useful it is for them. And that's a really important point about our program. This isn't just networking. This isn't just making introductions and like, we're like a broker of deals or whatever. We're doing so much more. We're coaching both our partners and the startups as to how to optimize working together and how to come together and get business done. And that's the really interesting thing, because if it was just about introductions, those partners have all seen who you are, and yet how come they didn't reach out and say, we want to do a deal? As they go through the program, they see more and more opportunities for them to work with you, and it just increases the opportunities for both sides. And that goes into the question that was brought up of how many pilots some companies get, or how many have done. Amir posted that we have had over 100 since 2021, and that number is actually, I think, closer to like 140 plus now, just from this cohort. So it's 3 to 4 deals plus per company, and the thing is, it also doesn't end when the program ends, right? The innovation priorities of our partners are constantly changing, and the first companies we go to are the alumni to say, okay, PGA Tour has a new need, and I think you can solve it. Do you want to talk to them? And nobody says no. So and Brennan, yourself, right? Like we're sending you deals and opportunities 2 years out. One of the questions as well is around whether it's full-time or what that involvement looks like. And the big thing I'd say is most of the companies coming in, being mature companies as they are, they have businesses to run. And we're not here to just provide busy work and interfere with your ability to run your business. It is a combination of, so everything we provide, we think is useful, whether it's how to negotiate a POC and how to structure how to go through compliance for, GDPR or whatever. It's things that are practical. If you already know it, you can say, okay, hey, I have a meeting, I have to do something else, I need to bow out. We're not going to just force you to do busy work for the sake of it. This is, at the end of the day, businesses trying to get more business done. I would think about it. I mean, maybe you guys can speak to it, maybe ask you specifically, like what the time commitment looks like for you in parallel to running your company.
Yeah, I would say, so firstly, they make sure they tell you, you all tell us ahead of time so we can plan accordingly with our schedules, which is really helpful. And the other thing too is if something does come up, it's, usually like another person from a team will go, or like there's a recording available. So it's helpful to the founder's schedule. But I would say though, it's like, you really don't want to miss them, because there's always something to learn. There's always some knowledge to gain. There's always a connection to be made. And so it's so imperative that all of us really try hard to be there, unless it's like an absolute thing where we cannot be there. And if it's that, then I'm sure a majority of us, if I've ever missed one, I'm always looking at the recording and following up with what I missed. So, but it's definitely manageable. It's definitely not overwhelming at all. And you have plenty of time to schedule it within your calendar and to plan accordingly.
Fantastic. So I think we talked about pilots. I guess any advice, Brennan, for and afterwards, actually, any advice for founders that are considering applying and or founders here in general?
Yeah, I mean, I could share a little story. So how I came upon SportsTech was it was the other way around. I actually saw it through Lift Labs first, and I applied there, and then they told me straight up, hey, we have this SportsTech program going on that's specifically what you're trying to do with concerts and sports. And I said, oh, okay, well, and then obviously that led me to apply and so on and so forth. But what I would say is that the first step is applying. And I'd say the step before that is have your story straight. Like there's a story that you're trying to tell, right? So make sure your story is good, because by the time you meet Jose and the team and they're reading your application, they're evaluating your story and how well you tell that story, because they're going to put you in front of people and you have to hold your own. So I would just say, make sure you have that straight. Make sure you have answers for those simple, basic questions that are going to come your way. That way you have a better chance of succeeding. That's what we did. We made sure our story was good. We made sure that, there was a big opportunity that would get people excited. And that's what helped our cause.
Ashley, any advice?
That's so great. Yeah, I was going to say, just be authentic and just really, also just be very optimistic of like the full picture of where you see the vision for your company, like the different partners that you would want to work with, how you believe you can help them, and really have a strong narrative around that. But most importantly, just be your authentic self. And because these are people that you're going to be working with and spending a lot of time with, and, just that it makes it much sweeter as the time goes on. So I feel like if you start it that way, it makes it a win-win in the end.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for your time. Thank you everyone for the fantastic questions. Those were great questions. I hope I answered them. If we did not, please email us or reach out to us, and we will try and get to them. Thank you so much. Our applications, as a reminder, are August 15th is the final deadline. And we will be reviewing them as soon as they come in. We're still reviewing the early applicants, as I mentioned in the comments. I posted the application link in the chat. I'll put it there one more time. And I look forward to learning more about your businesses. And thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Brennon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everybody. Good luck.